Hi everybody, 7 o'clock and it's Sunday. If you've stumbled upon this video on YouTube after we've already recorded it and posted it and you don't know who I am, well, my name's Dave Sutliff-Atias. I live in Rochester, New York, and I'm running for City Council 2019 and to represent the East District. So if you've just stumbled onto this, tonight we're going to talk about economic development. Now I know what you're saying, Dave, I don't know if I can handle this much excitement, but here's the thing. If you haven't seen any of these videos before that we do just about every Sunday around 7 o'clock, then we are going to get into some stuff that you might actually get excited about. For real. I'm not going to just talk about tax breaks and all that jazz. There's going to be some really cool stuff that I think that if you're very interested in making Rochester a better place, or even your own city, if you don't live in Rochester, if you're watching this from somewhere else, by all means, take these ideas and run with them. Nothing here is anything I've really come up with. I'm not that much of a rocket scientist. I found ideas, and I've just kind of coalesced them into something that Rochester can do. And you can say that just about any issue idea that I have that you can check out, of course, at dayforchange.org. I will try and plug that in as much as I can. But before I get into economic development, I have another topic that's even more exciting than economic development. I just want to, if you can give me like 30 seconds, I want to talk to you about bingo. Yes, I said it, bingo. So last Monday, we did our first campaign event on Earth Day Bingo, and it was great. Everybody had a great time. But a lot of folks were talking to me afterwards, we should do this again. And that's a good idea. We could do it on all these different topics. We can do them once a month. But now that the weather's changing over here in Rochester, most of candidate Dave time's going to be doing door to door, and I'm not going to be able to organize things like Earth Day Bingo last week. So I'm throwing it out there. If folks would like to get together as a committee or a group of people who would like to organize a campaign event once a month and do some bingo on another topic, a different one each month up through the election, that would be awesome. I would be happy to be the hub of that. And if you want to be one of the spokes in that wheel, really simple. You can use the contact form at dayforchange.org. There's also, if you're watching this live on Facebook, you can respond to on this or in a private message to the page, the Facebook page. There's social media. We're on so many things, everything but Friendster and MySpace. You're more than welcome to reach out there as well. And we'll hook everybody up together. And if this is something folks really want to do, it's really not that much time. It would be a couple hours a month, really, 2 or 3 hours a month. And it would be fun. And then just from the people who I've spoken to are excited about this, getting y'all in a room together, I think you'll really enjoy each other's company. So, if you want to do bingo, then we can do bingo. All right, economic development. Now, almost all of the topics we talk about every week and that are at the website are interrelated. They're connected. So if you want to focus on poverty, then stuff about crime comes in, and education, and food security, and housing. And if you want to talk about, pick one of those. If you want to talk about education, then food security, and housing, and poverty, and all these other things. Everything affects the other issue. There is can't think of anything that's really standalone, even environmentalism, which we showed last week at Earth Day Bingo. Sorry to sound obsessive about that, but it really went well. We had a good time. So when I start talking about economic development, and you can go to the website and check, yes, I've already done a platform plank on corporate welfare, and I've done something on cooperatives, and I'm working on something on urban agriculture. But these things are connected. So when we talk about corporate welfare, and what I'd like to do, and what I'm calling for, is taking that is the prevailing economic philosophy that the city of Rochester uses, and every city just about as well. Maybe you've heard of the race to the bottom, where cities and states compete against each other to try and get businesses to either start up or move to their municipality, throwing tax breaks. I mean, the famous one that's from this past year was Amazon, right? That everybody was willing to give away everything they had and then some just to get their corporate headquarters in their town. And it never really works out for the municipality, for the taxpayers. Gentrification happens. We lose a lot of our tax base, and there's in some cases there's amazing amounts of pollution and other just really negative effects of this, just so you can say that this big company now is headquartered in our town. And Rochester spends tens of millions of dollars on, and over time, actually, it's been hundreds of millions. But we average around $10 million a year, give or take. But it's way too much money, and we shouldn't be doing any of it. If a company doesn't want to be here and doesn't want to contribute their fair share to what we pay for the fire department, for our schools, for our sewers, those businesses, when the toilets flush, they want that stuff to go down to the sewer system, right? Well, they need to pay for that. So tax breaks is not a way to do this, to incentivize businesses to come in. And I'd like to see that money be used for a number of things. And if you go to budgeting at the website, the issue on how we pay for all this, you'll get a glimpse on some of the things I like to pay for. But one of the things is this new way of economic development. So in 2013, I don't know, a lot of folks didn't realize this. In 2013, I actually ran for city council with a bunch of other Greens. And every candidate forum, every place we could go that people would listen, we would talk about cooperative businesses. And the people who ran against us, most of the Democrats who won, were there to listen. I mean, they had to, because they had to get their turn to speak. So over and over again, they got to hear about cooperative businesses and cooperative economics. And I guess it sunk in, because when the Greens all lost and the Democrats all won, they did start to implement some of the things we were talking about. Now, they haven't really given it a lot of resources, and they haven't done a good job. But I'll say this: when Greens finally get in office, the infrastructure is there for us to really have this thing blow up. So what they did, and I have it written down here, the mayor started the Market-Driven Community Cooperatives Initiative. Right. No one's heard of it, right? Exactly. And then from there, it spawned a nonprofit called Own Rochester, OWN. And if you go to the issues plank on economic development, there's links to both of those. You can look them up. Now, totally underfunded, not a lot of resources. There's no way they can do a lot. And, that's kind of sets it up to fail. And so what I would do when you elect me is I'm going to advocate for legislation and money in the budget to give some more funding for those guys, and also to really start changing the way we do economic development. So let me give you some examples on what I would like to do. So I want to literally throw it open and say, okay, who wants to start a business cooperatively? So if there's a group of people who come together and say, hey, we want to start this co-op, this cooperative business, then we would hook you up with the resources, whatever is needed in terms of how to do this and cooperatively, how to run a business, and the actual business itself. Now, I think city money, our taxpayer money, should only go to start businesses for things we desperately need, and that is to alleviate poverty. So I'm talking about food, clothing, shelter, healthcare, daycare, those type of things. In fact, I'm going to run through some examples of each of those. And there's links, again, dayforchange.org, you can see some examples of where other places where that's been happening and why this will work. And so we use that economic development to, yes, start dozens of new businesses every year. Because the money, we're giving millions away to a handful of projects for apartments downtown, for things that, and a lot of those apartments are not filled up. And there's no trick. No one in the city and no one at any credible economic think tank can tell you how trickle-down economics is actually successful, how it actually works. It doesn't. It's a sham just to take our money and let rich people keep it. So what we have to put our tax money into these businesses that will help alleviate poverty, because our poverty rate in Rochester is one of the highest in the nation. Our child poverty rate is the highest in the nation. And we spend a dime giving to any rich person is an abomination, and it's just morally wrong. So, all right, sorry, I went on a tangent. So I have to get off my higher soapbox onto a lower level soapbox. So, all right, so food. I think we should have cooperative businesses. Now, the easy one that people are talking about is urban agriculture. First of all, we have to change our zoning so that there can be commercial urban agriculture, right? Because we're not allowed to do that. But once we do that, we need to provide resources for. We have some farms that are urban right now, but they're all like volunteer, nonprofit type things. There's nothing that could be run as a. Now, when I say for-profit business, I'm still back with a cooperative business that's run together. The workers own the business and they equally share in the profits of the business. Okay, I want to make sure that we have that straight. With urban farms, we in the same area, we also get people to cooperatively start businesses that would use the food grown on those farms. Restaurants, grocery stores. I like to say bakeries, but I don't know how much wheat or grains we would grow up in this zone. Although folks who have greener thumbs than I can sure chime in and correct me if we can do that. So I'd also like to see this tied into also an idea that I have for that you can look into another platform plank, a municipal composting company. Now there actually is one. There's a composting company in the city of Rochester, and they're small. They do a great job. They're awesome people, and my goal is not to drive them out of business. I would like to sit down if we decide to do this, a municipal system. I would like to sit down with them and work this out. The goal is not to drive them out of business. That would be ridiculous. That'd be not a smart thing to do. So, but we need to expand it. We need to blow it up. There should be no food waste in our landfills, just none. There's just no excuse for it. So, and I know that this company is small. They would not be able to handle the entire city. So we would need to work something out with them. Clothing. So there's so many opportunities here. And hold that thought too, because we're going to be having at least one campaign event around clothing coming up in summertime. Okay, I've got something else before that we're going to announce in the next couple of weeks, but there's going to be a clothing one happening this summer as well. But I'd like to see some clothing stores, even if they're secondhand stores. I was really bummed about when the Volunteers of America closed all of their stores. And man, they so could have worked it out where the workers own them and ran them on their own. Is not part of the Volunteers of America. And they should have done that. That would have been a perfect opportunity to start some cooperative businesses. So maybe we can get some resources to start some of them up again that allows for, first of all, clothing not ending up in landfills, and two, cheap options for perfectly usable clothing for people who need it. I mean, to be honest with you, I don't, quote, need to shop for clothing at secondhand stores, but I do a lot anyway, just because of and for environmental issues and just in terms of using resources. So something like that. And then a little bit more difficult, but I'd also like to look into the possibility of manufacturing clothing here. I know we have Hickey Freeman. That's a for-profit business. They've been here forever, but I'd like to look at some green options of maybe using different types of cloth. We're getting ready for hemp. So that with the explosion of industrial hemp, there's going to be a whole bunch of opportunities for clothing and a lot of textile manufacturing made from hemp. But we could also look at bamboo. There are types of bamboo that will grow in this region, and so we should totally start throwing resources to start businesses with that. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about the mechanics of that at the end. So stick with that. If you're going, Dave, I'm not seeing how we can do this. I got you. Don't worry about it. It's coming. It's coming. I'd also like to see, and this is not just clothing, but I'd also like to see a cooperatively owned and run department store, kind of like a Target. I don't like saying the W store, but I would like to see something like that that's cooperatively run downtown, because all of the department stores are out in the suburbs, and I think downtown would be a good space for it, right in the center. People could take the bus there. They already take the bus to go to Walmart and Target and things like that anyway. So let's put it downtown, where it would be in the city where it belongs. So we should do something like that. Shelter. Ooh, we're going to do something on all of the abandoned houses, and I still haven't, I've saved the article. I haven't read it yet, something that's come out today in the Buffalo News about a Ponzi scheme where all of these houses were bought in Rochester as well, bought by an out-of-town developer who really didn't have the money for it, and so there's all these abandoned houses. We knew there was all those abandoned houses all over town, but Cooperatively, we could start businesses that would contractors that would be able to fix houses, and if it's connected to the city, then it could be done at cheaper rates, so that people who can't afford to have houses fixed, I mean, like really important stuff, roofs, got things that they can get ticketed for in terms of our zoning, which is again another topic another time, which is so exciting as well. It'll just, there'll be people fainting all over. But we should really look at having ways that cooperatively owned businesses that can fix some of these houses, and to retrofit houses so that people with disabilities can stay in their own homes. Now, I know that the Regional Center for Independent Living does help people with ramps and doing internal construction to help make their houses more accessible, but they don't have nearly the amount of funds to do what we really need. And I think that tax dollars that would normally go for corporate welfare to build these luxury apartments that most people aren't moving into downtown should be used to keep people in their homes. They should not be in nursing homes if they don't want to be. And we have the money to do this. It's just, there's no reason for it morally or economically. And it is more beneficial for us economically as well to do this. I'd also like to see some manufacturing. We talked about industrial hemp and bamboo, but I would also like to see, and I have an amazing link to this video if you go to dayforchange.org in the economic development section, to a company in South America, and I'm just totally blanking on the country. I'm sorry. I just remember it's South America, but they're taking plastic and they're turning it into almost the Legos almost, and they're able to build housing with them. And these bricks that they're making are just, I don't want to say indestructible, but pretty close, and they're really awesome. And there's no reason we can't do this. The plastic, we know that China's not taking our plastics. We're finding out that the county's recycling center isn't being utilized because of the cost. We could set up companies that manufacture these things, so to build housing and to do reconstruction on housing using these materials, and it's using our waste. So it's totally win-win, and it's helping people with housing. It's economic development. It's helping the environment. We should be doing this. So that's what I would call for us to do, to develop some businesses that would manufacture these materials right here in Rochester. There's no climate reason not to, in terms of, it's too cold to do that here, or the snow, which is totally an indoor thing. So, and it also alleviates some of the stress on our recycling systems that we have here in Monroe County. Healthcare. We have a cooperatively owned acupuncture clinic in Rochester. I don't know if you guys know that. I've never used acupuncture. Someday I might, as I am getting older and creakier, who knows. But we should have more healthcare outlets. And look, I am for single payer, and the version we have at the state level that hopefully will get passed sometime soon, if not this year, next year, it's good. It's 10 times better than Obamacare. It still has a tie to employment, which that really annoys me. I would rather see it at the federal level, where you just get health care. If there's an extra tax, there's an extra tax. We pay for it now through our employment, and businesses pay for it. And if you really want economic development, single payer will help so many businesses. I mean, like real single payer, not, again, being connected to employment, which the state one does. It's better, and it still eliminates insurance companies, which is awesome, but it still could get tweaked to really make it, I'm going to call it what it is, socialized medicine. We need that. Healthcare should be socialized. Everyone should have his right to healthcare, to be healthy, to continue to live as long as you possibly can, as long as you want, okay? So anyway, cooperatively owned healthcare. I know there's St. Joe's, across the street from St. Joe's Hospitality. I don't know if there's a connection there, but that is a nonprofit. I'd like to see something that's cooperatively run, and we can do that all over town. And we would just need to use some resources to be able to set that up. Probably mostly, at least at the beginning, to pay doctors, because they gotta eat as well. Also, I'd like to have some cooperatively run gyms and yoga places that aren't on Park Avenue and University Avenue. And there may be some. I don't know too many of them. I think I know of one, and that aren't downtown. That I would like to see a gym on Genesee Street. I picked that at random. Thurston Road. I would like to see something at what's on the west side. Are there any? If there are, I don't know of them. There may be. I do live on the east side, so that's not. But yoga centers, I would like to see more of them, and I would like to see them cooperatively owned and cooperatively run, and put them in parts of town that people live in where there isn't those resources right now. I can almost throw a stone and hit a gym at a yoga place, and because I live on Kansas Street, which is North Winton Village. So we should have these things all over the city. So let's get people running these things cooperatively. It's economic development. It helps people's well-being, and it's win-win. Daycare. It's one of the leading causes of poverty, people not being able to take care of their kids if they go to work. And while we fight with the state and the county over more money for daycare, the city should step in as well and use, because again, we have the money to do all this, and we should start using our money to create some daycare centers that are, again, cooperatively owned and run, and so that folks can work if that's what's holding them back from getting jobs. So how can we do this? It's really not as tough as you think, because we kind of do this already. So whenever the city wants to spend money, they're supposed to well, depending on up to anything over $10,000 anyway, they're supposed to do a request for proposal, or an RFP. And sometimes they get sneaky and get around that. If you've ever seen Rachel Barnhart's site, Rochester for All, I believe it's called, somewhere in there they have the city's checkbook from like 2013 through 2017. And I have a copy. I downloaded it, the Excel files, and I've gone through them. And it's been quite interesting and illuminating. All of the checks that have been written, all of the payments that the city of Rochester has made. And some of it's totally legit. I'm not, a lot of it, most of it is to keep the city running. But some of it just makes you go, interesting choices there. So we spend a lot of money, and we do requests for proposals. So it's the same kind of system. We put out requests for proposals for a daycare center on Thurston Road. I don't know why I'm thinking of Thurston Road today, but I just picked in this district, in this area. And folks can, now here's where it gets a little bit creative, folks, like there can be a group of 5 people who are like all into this and they want to do that, and they submit a proposal together. Or there can be an individual who says, I would like to get in on this. I would like to work with others and start a cooperative daycare center, and we put them together. And hopefully, and we figure out if they can work together. And that's part of the training in terms of cooperative businesses as well. And we'll do something on that down the road. And there's plenty of links, and there's some Facebook pages of some groups in town that work on that as well. But so it's really pretty simple. So we just make a list and say, here are the businesses we want to spend our money on to get started. Okay. And here are the places we want to do it. So if a group comes and says, hey, we want to start a gym on East Avenue, well, sorry, that's not going to happen. We don't need a gym on East Avenue. We need a gym over on the west side somewhere. So something like that. I want to start an urban farm. Well, that can go anywhere, actually. We can do that in a lot of places. But we can still designate where that would happen. And then the money that we would normally give to developers to build these condos downtown would go toward the resources needed for either the raw materials, the training, whatever. We would work that out. And again, I don't have every single detail. It's not just, I'm not the emperor here of economic development. Get me into office, we'll get people together, and we'll start working this out together. But this is totally a doable thing. We have the money for this. It would take a big shift in changing the focus of economics in town. And that's going to be a little scary for some people. And because I know it can be scary. But it's just stuff we have to do. Look, we've been giving away our tax money to rich people for decades, and we still do it. And whenever our elected leaders are called out on this, the attitude is like that we have no idea what we're talking about. And we've been doing it their way for a long time, and stuff's not getting better, especially for generationally for the people who have been in poverty. They're staying in poverty, and their families are, and there's no wealth building, and there's no. This is not right. It's not morally right, and it's not working. It's not efficient. It's not economically efficient as well. So, and environmentally too. So we need to do something different, and we can do it incrementally. I'd like to do it a little bit faster than incrementally. I mean, we can't stop everything on a dime and Monday it's one way and Tuesday it's the other. But we can start putting together a program to do this. We have the infrastructure. We have we do RFPs. We have I seriously need to read this again because I don't have it. The Market-Driven Community Cooperatives Initiative, which I'm not a very market-driven person. I'm more concerned that people are healthy and have food to eat than how the market's doing, but we can make that work out. And Own Rochester is a nonprofit that's here. Does anybody even know it exists? Well, there's a link at dayforchange.org. You can check out what they're doing. And I believe somewhere the Green Party had folks from Own Rochester as speakers at a meeting. It wasn't political, just to find out about Own Rochester. And that's on YouTube too. You can find it on the Green Party's website, gpomc.org. You can check that video out there as well. Yeah, we can do this. It's the right thing to do. It's the smart thing to do. And we're not, honestly, sadly, we're not setting any, we're not, trailblazing here. This is being done in other places, and it's working. So we should jump on this too. Whew, okay, so I haven't seen any comments, at least not live, and that's totally cool. If you're catching this after it's been recorded, when it's been posted, feel free to make comments. Teach me. I'm not the guru here on cooperative economics. I know a little bit about a lot. So teach me about stuff that you know, and the rest of us can check it out as well. So you can do comments on this video on Facebook. You can do it on YouTube. You can also just post it on the Facebook page or the website. There's also Instagram, Twitter. You can email me directly. There's a phone number, which I don't have memorized. I'm sorry. It'd be awesome if it was something catchy, but it's not. It's just a bunch of random numbers. But it's at the website, and it's on the Facebook page. You can drop me a voicemail message. Keep in touch. Let's keep talking. Weather permitting, I'm knocking on doors, so maybe I'll be coming to your door. I mean that in a nice way, not in a weird, creepy, threatening way. So I'll be able to talk to you at your door or at any other events that are taking place in town, because if you've seen, there's 3 things to do every night. I'm triple booked, and I'm trying to go to as many things as possible. So come up and talk to me about cooperative economics and things you think that are good things that we're able to do, and some weaknesses, so that we can shore them up, so that when I get elected in November, we can actually do these things. Thank you for tuning in. Next week might be a little bit tough to do a video. It's going to be spotty the next week or two. My daughter is graduating from college soon, and I'll be participating in those festivities. But don't worry, we're doing these throughout the campaign. So if there's a week or two that we're off, it's no problem. There's always going to be issues to talk about, and there's always going to be weeks to do this. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not going to go on this tangent right now. This is going to be later in the fall. But once I'm elected, I will be doing things like this all of the time. I will be continuing to reach out and communicating with folks all the time. So even if we got to take a couple weeks off from this, you haven't gotten rid of me yet. Okay. All right. So thanks for the support. I really appreciate all of your help in tuning in and what we're trying to do with this campaign for city council. And I gotta say, if you get a chance, if you want to get change for a 20, we're looking for 1,000 people to donate $20 to the campaign, so we can do some of the stuff that we want. And while I haven't talked about it yet, and it's kind of as if we can actually raise this money, one of the things that we're going to do with the campaign is I'm really psyched about it. It's really going to help out the community, especially with some upcoming laws that are about to take place. So if you get a chance to get change for a 20, really appreciate a $20 donation over at dayforchange.org. Thanks a lot, and I'm going to see you around, because, yeah, I'm around. Take care.